Hello, welcome to 509 Divine Pines Podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Daniel Pena. Today I'm discussing Spectral, a movie on Netflix. Fifth dimensional technology applied to real life. Is this really how Bose-Einstein condensate behavior really acts? An actual Bose-Einstein condensate scientific review. Spectral influence. Oh man, it's just an amazing movie by Nick Matthew. You guys go ahead and watch it. A lot of fascination with sci fi movies stem from a successful blend of state of the art science and technology with what might be considered an imaginable extrapolation of it. For a scientist, of course, it is especially interesting if one's own research field is depicted. A recent example is the movie Spectral, which can be described as a mixture of war and a ghost story where soldiers can enemy with seemingly supernatural properties in other dimensions. Well, into the movie, and a lot of people are killed along the way. The main hero, DARPA researcher Dr. Mark Klein, has a eureka moment when he realizes the mysterious creatures are in fact fashioned out of the Bose-Einstein condensate. Wow. An intriguing phenomenon, sometimes called the fifth state of matter next to solid, liquid, gas, and plasma, was predicted by Satyendra Nathan Bose and Albert Einstein in the 1920s, but it took a long time to develop the necessary experimental techniques and find suitable materials to actually create it, which finally happened in 1995. Several years later, in 2001, the work was recognized by the Nobel Prize in Physics. Bose-Einstein condensate is not a 3D printed material as suggested in the movie. It is much more complicated. Counterintuitively, it contrasts to blowing things up as one of the first scenes of the movie shows. Laser light can be used to cool a very diluted cloud of atoms to less than a thousandth of a degree above absolute zero, a method invented in the 1980s and recognized with the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1997 by former U.S. Energy Secretary Dr. Stephen Chu. With an additional called evaporative cooling, the temperature is then further lowered to less than m0, at which point the atoms come to a standstill. The particles lose their individual nature and behave like one giant superparticle, the Bose-Einstein constant. It resembles one huge quantum mechanical wave, and it is exactly this feature that makes Bose-Einstein constant extremely interesting for applications of fundamental studies. Bose-Einstein condensates are not actually robust, like the movie says. In the movie Spectral, the ultra cold condensates swirl around, killing people by freezing them from the inside and defy any attempts to destroy them with conventional weapons. In reality, Bose-Einstein condensates are exactly the opposite of robust. They must be kept well isolated from the environment using ultra high vacuum technology with 14 orders of magnitude lower pressure than in our ambient air, sort of like a high tech thermos. That's fifth dimensional technology, buddy. The slightest touch of room temperature air molecules would immediately destroy the condensats. In fact, their heat capacity is so low you would not even be able to cool a small grain of sand with it, let alone whole people. Furthermore, condensats must be kept in the dark because they would evaporate under illumination due to the entry of absorbed photons. Turning this on its head, the susceptibility of Bose-Einstein constant to every little disturbance can be exploited for ultra-sensitive applications in probing magnetic fields, acceleration, and even gravitation. A little truth is contained in the hand grenades made from iron particles that are used against the condensats in the movie. Indeed, magnetic stray fields induced by iron could disrupt the traps which are usually required to prevent Bose-Einstein condensates from touching the walls of the thermos. Hence, iron kills condensates. In real world applications and study, apparatuses to contain condensates are built from non magnetic steel or glass. At IBM Research, my colleagues and I have been able to produce a special type of condensate with much easier methods even at room temperature. The downside of these methods compared to producing the condensates at ultra cold gases is that they only exist for a few millionths of a millionth second, a few picoseconds. While this seems extremely short to something useful, is exactly enough time to study certain phase transitions and interesting non-equilibrium dynamics. The key feature of Bose-Einstein condensates is that magnify quantum mechanical phenomena which govern the nanoscale up to the macroscopic dimensions. Incorporated in a so-called quantum simulator that allows scientists to control and manipulate the quantum fluid, this could lead to a better understanding of fundamental properties of materials and new approaches to tweak them for the design of novel materials. Spectral features fragments of many promising technologies in a quite gloomy setting. As a scientist, I am driven to find out new things about nature and invent technology. So, Nick Matthew, he's friends with Steven Spielberg and that crew. And if you know anything about that crew, they're really involved with space and having some esoteric knowledge or military knowledge. So, you guys can go ahead and watch this. And like they said, a lot of it is based on real research, but they did tweak a little bit here and there to, for cinematic effects, of course. But understanding that there is possibility of, I don't know, energy forms or entities or masses spawning in very short quick seconds, and seeing that, look, like, we're humans but we don't know what aliens could do, and leave it in the hands of entities on the other side. Who knows if they could perpetuate things like this? And like they said, they had technology to counter it. So in the real essence, we're getting technology to counter these things that we don't understand in the other dimensions. So I believe in the movie that they use some type of um light alteration. Um like, they mess with the spectrums of reality. Hey man, you guys go ahead and watch it yourself. I don't really remember. Like, it came out in 2016. So let me just go ahead and bring this up for you guys. Not gonna get into it. It's a pretty large movie as far as intellectual, words and ideas, and it's definitely a good movie to check out if you guys are bored. Hey man, y'all have a wonderful night. Share, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and have a wonderful day. Peace out.